Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Audio Challenge, and today we have Moana. Yes, the Disney animated feature from 2016. Jeez, I can't believe it's been that long. It's almost 4 years old. Well, 3.5, maybe, not even that. But yeah, hey, this is the big feature, big hit, uh, featuring a brand new talent, and I'm gonna screw up her name. So I'll just say Dwayne Johnson's in this. The Rock plays Maui there, and I didn't IMDb this. I should usually have IMDb up, but I figured I didn't have to spell or pronounce her name. Thought I would remember it. Ali Cravalho. Ali Cravalho. Hopefully, I pronounced that right. Ali Cravalho, Dwayne Johnson, uh, even Alan Tudyk from Firefly. Ooh, wait, this is also a reference to Firefly too. Alan Tudyk was also Hey Hey, the chicken of all things. But yeah, he's their go-to guy for animal voices, other than gosh, that guy does everything. I can't remember his name. Anyway, but this is honestly one of my favorite Disney princess films. She's not a princess. She's just the daughter of the king. But no, yeah. Between just the animation for things like this, it's meant to be realistic, more realistic. It's obviously not real life. She's got the big eyes and big head compared to the rest of her body, so it's just not a real life. But everything around her, the environment that they're living in, the water, the trees, the mountains, everything is so authentically. At least yes, it's brighter and more vibrant than you'd see in real life, but it's still just tripping gorgeous to look at, especially the water and things ever since Incredibles. The idea of hair when it gets wet. So this is my favorite scene in The Incredibles. After the big airplane crash and they're trapped in the water, I was so amazed at how they made the hair look so realistic when wet. And yeah, I know that sounds weird, but they only improved it in Incredibles 2 and everything else since. But this movie takes place on the water, and our main characters are pretty much soaking wet half the film. They get dunked in the water all the time, uh, and it's, to me, maybe this is not a big deal to anybody else, but just the way they animate realistically wet hair. I know it sounds weird. Is just, it blows me away just to look at it. If it's something that you didn't notice before, I don't see how you couldn't have. But if you didn't notice it before, take a look at it again. If you didn't watch it today, like I told you to, and honestly, if this is the kind of thing that you usually would avoid, I don't know why you'd be watching this then. But if it's the kind of thing that you would normally avoid, it's time to let it go. Sorry, that's wrong film. But in many ways, uh, the bar they set with Frozen, they blew it out of the water with Moana, because it's not just, again, the acting, the animation, it's also the music. Lin Manuel Miranda from Hamilton is one of the co-writers of much of the music, and he performs one piece in this, and it's in the flashback sequence to their people. And I think it's him. Pretty sure it's him. But beyond that, uh, she, Ollie. I'll get that right one day. Ollie, she is perfectly cast for literally coming out of nowhere. I don't know if she's ever really had a job before this. Let's look it up on IMDb and find out. Come on, I'm tapping your face. You've had how many jobs? I don't know. Why won't you show me how many jobs you've had? Good grief, girl. She's had 11 acting parts, and her first one was Moana. Yeah. So, but pretty much everything she's done has been in the Disney realm, in a sense. Yeah, sort of. Well, of course, she played Moana again in Ralph Breaks the Internet, and the other night she did play Ariel, as we said, in the Little Mermaid live performance production they had last November 2019. Yeah, she's absolutely incredible, perfectly cast, and I think also it helps that she uh, it's just how they animate her. I mean, maybe they took the cues from her facial expressions when she was, doing things, but I don't think I've ever seen another Disney princess, quote unquote, uh, perform like this. I mean, or the way she speaks, the way she does her facial expressions, everything is pretty much authentic. It feels real. It's not as stiff and as formal as previous princesses. I mean, sure, you had Vanellope von Schweetz, but she's more cartoonish than your average character because she's so tiny with a giant head and she races race cars in Candyland, whatever it is. She, from Wreck-It Ralph, but she at least Moana is meant to look realistic to a point and act and be a realistic human character to a point. Maui not so much because he's exaggerated and massive, but not much more massive than The Rock. But he's also Dwayne the Rock Johnson is his own special effect. You put him in a movie and he's explosions on the screen basically. He's worth every dime. But this time you don't get to see The Rock's face at all. You just get to hear his voice, and still he comes through. I think I could still tell it was a Rock if I muted this thing. It's just how good of a performance I think this marriage of voice and animation is in this film. It's just freaking perfect. And like I said earlier with Lin-Manuel Miranda, and I keep wanting to over enunciate his name, all the letters in his name. The music is just dang perfect. I can't. Once you hear "You're Welcome," it's going to be stuck in your head for days if you haven't heard that song already. But all the other songs, talking about Moana's desire to explore beyond the island, I swear everything up to the point, every song that was building towards her leaving the island, spoiler alert, it's gonna happen. When you're told you're not supposed to, guess what's gonna happen in a movie? That's the whole premise of the film. When every song is built up between her and her family and her grandmother, it's pretty emotional. It's pretty emotional. It pretty much brings me to tears. I'm just like, oh yeah, it's dusty in here. But yeah, it's maybe I identified way too much with Moana. I don't know why, but yeah, she gets out there and the adventure begins, where she has to take on a demigod and save the world basically, and from her by escaping her small little island where she's told she can never leave. So I'm not going to tell any more about this story, because the story is pretty much your hero's call to action, basic story. The whole she's King Arthur. Her grandmother is her Merlin, her Obi-Wan, her Gandalf, the wizard, the one who sets her out on the journey, and you can pretty much, if you know how all those characters turned out, you pretty much can guess where Grandma ends up. But still, even with that kind of knowledge, yeah. And by the way, that doesn't count as one of the tropes because, well, I won't ruin it, but you know the trope I'm talking about. It doesn't count as one of the tropes because it happened during the film rather than before the film. So yeah, it's to me, it's one of these. They're in this weird golden age of films, and yes, you know what? I enjoy the Frozen films too. I know the song is overplayed, Let It Go is overplayed, and everything else, and it's driving people crazy. Honestly, if I was an 8-year-old girl, I'd be playing Moana every freaking day and driving you nuts, or probably younger, older, it doesn't matter. I kind of want to play it again at this point. If this son chooses 737 again, I'm gonna watch it again. It's just so freaking good, and I know I'm blubbering over it right now. I'm gushing over it way too much, but it's dang fun, and on every level. And the authenticity, by the way, also one of the things I really love about it is they had dozens and dozens of people from the islands, from the area where this would have taken place, who who know about the legends, who know about the ways of the people in the land, how they would even build and ride their boats. Basically how they would live on an island. Just the things they would normally do. There's a certain level of authenticity. Yes, it's all very magical, and there's mythology and demigods and everything else, and talking crabs. And oh, by the way, going back to music, Jermaine Clement, who you might know from Flight of the Conchords and What We Do in the Shadows, he plays the crab. If you have not watched this, for some reason you watched got this far, and you're still not convinced to watch this movie, and you didn't know about Jermaine Clement having a role in this film, and you love Flight of the Conchords, watch it just for Tahoa, I think his name is. Let me see. Tamatoa, the very glam crab, whose challenge is Jermaine, the little bit of David Bowie sort of. I'm not really sure, but it's again, everything about this movie is great. And yes, stay after the credits. There's more after it all rolls up. So, okay, I've talked enough about Moana. If you haven't seen it and you have no idea, no intention of seeing it, well, then it's your loss, seriously. But if you haven't watched it in a while, and it's been 4 years since it came out, take the time to watch it again. It is so freaking good. You know it. And if you have never watched it, come over to my house, we'll watch it together. Okay, we'll see you then. Let's pick tomorrow's. 15. Wow. That is not the lowest we've had, but it is pretty dang low. Number 15. It's a documentary. We haven't had a documentary in a while. By the way, the last 10 or so days, all the numbers have been in the 300s or 600s. Every single one, the last 10 days. I just checked it. And all the ones we selected. It's crazy. That's how we just got stuck in those areas. But now we have it's probably going to be a Nat Geo film thing. I'm not sure, but it's called African Cats. It says film in parentheses after it. Whoever made the listings for all these, where I got this from, had to make that distinction apparently that it's a film. So we'll check it out. African Cats. It's probably a documentary, probably a little film about, guess what, African cats. So we'll see you here tomorrow. Talk to you then. Bye-bye.